Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CarterMatt.com.
This video is your reaction, our first viewing reaction, in fact, to The Expanse Season 2, Episode 3, entitled Static.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? We're doing this reaction for The Expanse. I'm sorry for that.
No, you're not.
Well, alright. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about everything from space racquetball to also plans to blow up all of Eros entirely. We got a little bit of everything in this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well, before we dive into it, if you enjoy this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other updates that are coming your way. I think there's a lot to dive into here, but
yeah,
the blue goo, or the proto-molecule, if we're gonna finally use the correct term, we've learned a little bit about this. I mean, in between what our beloved crew members have found out, and then the presence of Cortazar, aka Mr. I have no feelings, but I want to change the world in my own messed up way guy.
Yeah.
It's an interesting character. I mean, what we've sort of figured out here is that something weird is going on Eros, and this problem is not exactly over.
No, it sounds like it's nowhere near over, and it's just kind of interesting that this proto-molecule is seen in so many different ways by people. Some people are seeing it as a savior, and other people want to weaponize it, and other people like Miller want to destroy it. So it's very interesting how this one thing is viewed by so many different people in so many ways.
You know what this reminds me of in a very weird way? Jurassic Park, where they all get out of Jurassic Park, but they don't really bother to pay attention to whether or not all the dinosaurs are really gone, and then somebody else goes back and gets, like, eaten by a Tyrannosaurus, and, like, I don't remember all of Jurassic Park accurately here, but I feel like that is a story point in there somewhere.
Yes.
But yeah, you gotta find a way to take care of the problem, but here, it's even worse than Jurassic Park, because you at least kind of know what dinosaurs can do.
Yeah, and not everybody knows yet what this is going to do to people. It's still unclear what it's doing, what it's meant to do, and what is going to happen with it.
Alright, so, well, I guess what we've kind of figured out here is that there is some sort of sense of evolution to the protomolecule where it's able to feed off some sort of bioenergy fairly fast and become something that is different. I mean, we've already seen that.
Different, growing. It was all very sort of interesting when the music that was coming in. Oh, there's new music coming in from Eros, and it's really all of these people talking and droning on that they're still alive, but there's something going on. It feels like there's some sort of collective consciousness that's growing with this, with all the people it's absorbed.
Yeah, it either feels like it's binding them all together, or that it's almost like giving them some sort of orders from some sort of like weird proto-molecule leader elsewhere. I don't exactly know what that would be, but it's still really, really curious that they are seemingly, as this episode has sort of told us, there's something that is building, there's something that is sort of counting down through this music. And whatever it might be, maybe it is sort of a warning that's going out there. Maybe it's a countdown to completion of something. Wouldn't it be really, really wild, though, if, like, in episode 4, they go there and there's, like, this, like, random gigantic city that was not there previously?
That'd be weird.
It would be really weird, but this protomolecule stuff, it's both fascinating and also incredibly weird at the same time.
It has formed a person, sort of. So, I mean, with Kenzo, I think I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
So, it could form something else? I don't know what is going on. I'm still lost.
Well, I think we're meant to be lost.
Yes, we're meant to be lost. It's still in the theory stages.
It really isn't. I will say this about the protomolecule. I feel like with a lot of space stuff, the alien sort of stuff we get introduced with, it's a little bit more tangible, where it's like, oh, here's this alien that just so happens to be walking around like a human is, mostly because they just put some alien makeup on a human. And I think here they are showing that alien life can be extremely different than human life, which kind of makes sense because it feels like life can sort of form under a wide array of different conditions, and here we have something that is like so far away from what any sort of human can understand.
Yep.
Are you fascinated in some level by, you know, what apparently has been done to Cortazar in order to make sure that this guy has no real, like, accurate ability to read feelings?
Yeah, I wanted to actually touch on that, because for me, this episode was really stolen by Amos and his own feelings when he learned that this is something that has happened to these scientists, that they've had all their empathy removed. That question of, well, is there a cure for it? It really struck with me that Amos is someone who is very self-aware. He knows that this is kind of missing from him, but it's the most interesting that it feels like it's something he wants, and that if there's a way for him to obtain it. And I'm not saying he doesn't necessarily not care about someone like a Naomi, but it might be more of he feels like he owes her more so than a feeling of empathy, because that question changed a lot for me in the way that I see Amos.
Yeah, I if I was to see him any one way now, I kind of view him as somebody who obviously grew up under really, really harsh conditions, who had to pretty much scrap and fight every day in order to stay alive, and I think probably because of that, he probably didn't have a lot of time to, like, sit down and assess, like, how he's feeling about things or, you know, what he wants out of life. I think it was probably, I just need to survive, and I think probably whatever sort of, like, emotion just got beaten out of him over time.
Yeah, it could have been that way.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe he was always this way even before all that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's possible that he just has that tendency and he doesn't want to feel this way. It was an interesting door further into how he is, and that he doesn't necessarily want to be this way. He just is.
Yeah, and I felt like Amos was going to be one of those characters that we would sort of get to know and probably like more and more over time, because usually with, like, the big, brash character like this, you really do have to wait a few weeks or even a season to get somewhere. I think we're really getting somewhere, and I think he's probably in the most fascinating position right now out of, like, most of at least the original Rocinante crew. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I hope that this isn't something that's just sort of completely abandoned after this episode.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it will be, and it was cool to see that Amos was a person who was able to reach the scientist and actually figure out what it is that is going to work on him to open up and give them more information, since Holden was going about it the wrong way, trying to talk about his mother who, you know, is deceased, and that was getting nowhere because he's missing that feeling of empathy.
Yeah, and I mean, that is sort of the sadness that is with Amos, and that, like, the thing he would like to change is probably the one thing that helped them actually get what they needed from this guy, and that Amos could relate to him. And it was also just fascinating to see that here is Amos, who usually, if you picture an interrogation scene with Amos at the center of it, it probably goes a little bit something like, I'm going to punch you in the face now unless you give me what I want.
Yeah, and it feels good to see that he's not just this enforcer brute type character. There is more to him than this.
I really liked, and I've said this before, I'm a fan of, like, seeing people around a spaceship doing things that are not just what they do every single time. So it was interesting to kind of see this, like, interesting dichotomy of what Alex is doing with his time versus what Naomi is doing with her time. Where should we go first here?
Well, let's talk about Alex, because I feel like whatever has happened with losing all these people, that he is taking this on. He feels that this is his fault. I just wonder how much this is going to change him moving forward. Clearly, it's something that has affected him to the point that he's getting very obsessive about this whole thing, that whole battle, and playing it over and over again and trying to figure out how he can do it differently by seconds, by milliseconds, trying to figure it out. So I am very curious to see if this is something that fundamentally changes Alex moving forward, or if this is something that he can figure out and move past, and it's not going to change him in a negative way.
I think if I had to sort of like project forward what it could be, I think it's something he can get past, but I think in order to do so, he's probably going to need some sort of win. Something to sort of realize, you know what? I can do this because, I mean, I think you've talked about this in the past on here about how Alex sort of still has it in his head that he is sort of like this metaphorical bus driver. Yeah. And he wants to be something more. He wants to be that hero, but I'm sure right now it's sort of like, oh, I'm not that hero. I got a lot of responsibility and I screwed it up. Even if that may not be the case.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I mean, he didn't have a lot of experience doing what he was doing, but if at the same time he still managed to take down a stealth ship.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Let's make something clear here.
Yeah.
I could not take down a stealth ship.
I feel like I could.
No, okay, well, somebody has a very high opinion of their space abilities. I will say this. I probably have a better chance of taking down the stealth ship than I do beating Naomi in racquetball as someone.
Wow, that was a fun scene.
Yeah.
It was nice to just see her letting loose a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I took racquetball for a semester in college, mind you, so I do not see much racquetball represented in any sort of television form.
No, and this was even more intense because it was just handball.
Yeah, like that stuff feels like it hurts a lot.
Yeah, it does.
That's just my opinion of it. I mean, as somebody who got hit in the face with a racquetball on occasion, like, these things are high impact, but I guess if you are like hardcore space traveler / hero, maybe your activities to wind down are a little bit more intense than our activities to wind down, maybe.
Yeah, and that seems to be the case because after that there was lots of dancing and expelling more energy. So clearly she's got some energy pent up.
That dancing also, by the way, much more intense than any dancing that I would do. That music was loud.
That music was loud.
But you gotta do, I guess, what you gotta do, and you're on a station and you have a chance to actually kind of unwind a little bit.
Yes.
Well, before we move away from the station and talk about everything with Christian, we do have to spend a second. What is Miller trying to do here? It seems like he has this new plan. I mean, maybe he's just really grumpy because he's been staying with Diogo and he has to listen to that music all the time. He got a nice new hairdo, though. He's trying to get a glow up going here.
Yeah, things are changing for him. And after killing Dresden, he's clearly not done with this. He has seen what this did to Julie. That connection's still there. He's still feeling that connection. I said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like not only is Julie saving him, but I feel like he is still saving her. Whether he was not able to save her body, but I still feel like he's trying to save her spirit and her soul and her, just what she believed in. And by destroying the proto-molecule, I feel like this is something that he feels that he needs to do to honor her in a way.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to stop until this is completely over.
Yeah. And I know, like, that he feels, obviously, that this thing needs to be destroyed because it's a problem. Like he said, it's dangerous because of what it can do, sort of thing. And that it can grow and learn and be this really big problem. So I feel like part of it is that he wants to get rid of it because he knows that this is going to end up being a way larger problem than anyone's going to be able to deal with.
Yeah.
But also the Julie stuff. I feel like it's something in him that he needs to do for himself because they have a connection. And,
I mean, I will say this, though. I think it's going to cause a problem if he just tries to hijack this Mormon project that they've been working forever on. And now all of a sudden he's going to use this to go try to destroy the proto-molecule. If this Mormon ship gets blown up, not going to be good news for Miller. Probably not going to be good news for Fred Johnson either.
Yeah, probably not. For them to get something of that magnitude out of there without a big fight
Yeah.
or everybody ending up dead. I don't know how they're going to manage to do this. So I'm very, very curious of how that's going to roll.
Yeah, I want to get inside Fred Johnson's brain as he's hearing all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fred knows that this has got to be done, but
yeah, it's sort of like when you're spending like hundreds of hours like building this Lego sculpture, and then you realize that you don't have any glue, so you can't bring it anywhere, and you're just like, I know I have to kick this over and destroy it. But all this time is gone.
Your Legos?
I don't glue my Legos, but I know some people do. I was never that good at it. If you're actually really good, you glue them, you put them up at somewhere, in a museum or something. But
anyone out there that's glued your Legos, leave that in the comments.
Yeah,
this is the first time hearing of this.
Yeah, it's a thing. I promise, it's a thing.
I'm sure it is. I'm just curious. Anybody else out there glue your Legos? Please let me know.
Okay.
Because I've been doing it wrong. Because my Legos do fall apart.
Yeah, well, you only do it for things you build permanently. But anyway, okay. Let's go into Christian. We have the Christian Fred Summit. It has happened.
It has happened. I still want to see these two meet. It was very interesting for both of them to be in this spot, since for her it's treason, for him it's basically treason. It's it's going to be a problem if it gets out. And now we know that there are two people that know that this has happened.
Yeah.
So what do you think about these two people that know that this has happened? Is this going to be a problem down the line?
Probably. I think anytime anyone gets knowledge of something that's supposed to be a secret, and I don't just mean this in the world of The Expanse, any TV show ever, I mean, heck, even life, like, the more people know about a secret, the more likely that somebody's going to get them to tell them that secret, and then it's all going to unravel. And I just think none of this stuff is there by coincidence.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably going to come out in some shape or form, but I think the real question is, will Christian and Fred move quickly enough so that they're able to actually do something about it before they get destroyed? Because, I don't know Christian all that well. We've only seen her for a season or so. I feel like she would go down with the ship if it meant that she could actually make sure that all of this was resolved on some level. I don't see her, like, clutching power and abandoning whatever principle she has.
No, I think she wants victory, and victory for Earth, and Earth to be all right. But I don't know if she would go down with the ship. I mean, I feel like she would, but I feel like she's gonna find a way to get out of it, because I can't see that Christian has a bit of any sort of death wish.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she's going to want victory, and she's going to make someone else go down with the ship to make it happen.
She's gonna run to the escape pod and jump right on board right before everything explodes.
That's right, and take that burner ship and go somewhere else.
Yes, that's right, everyone. The burner ships are returning to the world of The Expanse.
That's right.
3 episodes in, I think we've set up a pretty complicated narrative with a lot of interesting stuff that is at play. I think we know most of the major players right now, except for whatever's going on with Draper and the ragtag crew of Martians who are now beating each other up.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not really talking about them too much, but for me, I'm really having a hard time. I had a hard time getting to know Holden and forming a connection with him. I'm having a even harder time with Bobby. I just can't wrap myself, and maybe I'm not supposed to like everybody, or I'm not supposed to have a connection with everybody, but I just can't find it yet.
I think the problem is that just very much of them are really like this, let's do this, and it's just very much, it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's one note, but it just feels like it is something that I could have seen in other mediums play out, where you have like...
And I have seen this play out in other mediums, just this character type of the rah-rah military, we gotta get revenge, like this is something that I've seen a lot, and even though I've seen some of these characters on the show in other shows, they've done a really good job on The Expanse of giving them a different flavor, so that it's like, okay, we have Amos the Enforcer, but we also have this other side of him where he doesn't have empathy and he really wants it. That sort of little bit of something. The character of Bobby just doesn't have that yet for me. I don't know what is happening here with with that, but I'm hoping that for me, it's going to grow. She's only been in a couple episodes, so.
There's still time,
Yeah.
and there's still time for everything, including the blue goo destroying everyone at Eros, which hopefully is not going to happen, but anyway, let's wrap this up, and we want to know from you guys, when you watched Season 2, Episode 3 for the first time, what were your thoughts? Give us all of them, spoiler-free, hopefully, in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description. Visit the Carter Matt store, get a shirt like this one. And we'll see you here next time.